What if the one thing you think gives your company structure, that org chart, is actually the very thing holding it back? Today, we are diving into something called fractal fluidity. It's a pretty radical way to think about structuring teams that could honestly replace all that bureaucratic drag with some real dynamic growth. Let's get into it. So let me ask you this. Does your company sometimes feel like it's literally designed to slow things down? I mean, if you've ever had a great idea get completely tangled up in red tape, or you've watched it just die a slow death in endless committee meetings, then you already know the symptoms. The root cause might be something you'd never suspect: the very structure of the organization itself. Okay, so this chart really lays out the two worlds we're talking about. On one side, you've got the classic brittle pyramid. This is where information just decays as it trickles down from the top, where scaling just means more bloat, and where every decision just grinds to a halt. But then you have the fluid fractal, which completely flips the script. Here, communication stays crystal clear, growth is actually efficient, and decisions get made fast by the people who are closest to the problem. The truth is, the pyramid-style org chart is a relic. It was designed for a much, much slower era. Today, it creates what the source material calls structural impedance. Basically, as information has to travel up and down that long chain of command, it suffers from a catastrophic decay. And the result? That bureaucratic drag we all know and, well, that we all hate. So what's the fix? What's the architectural antidote to all this brittleness? Well, it's the fractal model. And instead of thinking about a static map of boxes and lines, I want you to picture the organization as a living, breathing system, a team of teams, where the structure of the tiniest part perfectly mirrors the structure of the entire company. This quote from Dr. Rod King really gets to the heart of it. That team of teams idea isn't just some high-level concept, it's recursive. That little ellipsis in the middle, that means it goes on forever. The same basic structure repeats itself infinitely, scaling all the way from the entire organization right down to a single person on a project. Now, the engine driving all of this is a principle with a kind of fancy name: structural isomorphism. But really, it just means that the part mirrors the whole. It means the operational DNA of a small project team is completely identical to the DNA of the entire enterprise. And that consistency, well, that's where all the power comes from. So what exactly is this universal DNA we're talking about? Well, it's built on three core pillars that have to be balanced inside every team at every single level of the organization. Let's break them down. This table really shows the three core functions. First, you've got value creation, or VC, which is all about looking to the future. Then there's value delivery, or VD, and that's all about executing in the present. And finally, value sharing, or VS, which makes sure the whole system stays healthy and sustainable. Any truly successful team needs to balance all three of these to really thrive. First up, value creation. This is the company's generative engine. It's all about innovation, R&D, and constantly looking ahead to prevent what the source calls competitive obsolescence. This is the team that keeps the whole organization from just doing yesterday's work perfectly. Next up is value delivery. Think of this as the transmission. You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but it is completely worthless if it never actually reaches a customer. This team handles all the execution. We're talking sales, marketing, logistics, the whole shebang. And the source makes a really critical point here. Value that's created but never delivered is worth exactly zero. And finally, we've got value sharing. The best way to think about this one is as the organization's central nervous system. It's what distributes resources, rewards, and critical data throughout the company. This is what allows the organization to sustain itself, to self-correct, and, crucially, to keep its best people from just walking right out the door. Okay, and this is where the model's true power really becomes clear: scaling. See, most companies, as they grow, they just get slower. The fractal model, though, is designed to do the exact opposite, to scale without all that bloat. The difference is pretty stark when you look at it this way. The old way, arithmetic growth, it's like stacking blocks. Sure, the tower gets taller, but it also gets way more wobbly and disconnected. Geometric expansion is totally different. It's more like a cell dividing. It doesn't just add more layers, it replicates the entire blueprint into a new autonomous unit, and that keeps everyone close to the action. And hey, this structure has real, tangible results. The sources point to a 30% reduction in communication hops. And why is that? It's simple. You're getting rid of all those bureaucratic gatekeepers that slow everything down. Information just flows more directly to where it needs to go. And check out this next metric. In a fractal system, over 80% of localized challenges can be resolved right there, within the team, without ever having to escalate up the chain of command. That is what true agility looks like, empowering teams to solve their own problems fast. So beyond just being a blueprint for a better company structure, this model is also a really precise diagnostic tool. You can actually use this VC, VG, and VS lens to figure out exactly why a team or a project is underperforming. You can actually diagnose your own team just by looking for these symptoms. So, is your value creation weak? Well, that leads to systemic stagnation. You're just perfectly executing an obsolete strategy. Is your value delivery failing? That's hidden gem syndrome. You've got brilliant ideas that never see the light of day. And if your value sharing is broken, you get internal collapse, where bureaucracy and frustration just drive your best people away. Look, this isn't just theory. It's a really practical framework you can start using right now. So let's bring it all home and think about your own team for a second. So I'm going to leave you with this challenge. Look honestly at your team. Which of these three pillars, value creation, value delivery, or value sharing, is your dead zone? Is it a lack of new ideas, a failure to actually execute, or is it a system that just doesn't support its own people? Because finding that friction point, that's the very first step to building something truly fluid and resilient.